I'd like to tell you a little bit about why I'm so passionate about education and why I think Ford Protocol is the key to unlock the potential in hundreds of millions of people's lives. I went through a completely normal education process, as did Sue, my wife. We went to school for 12 years and then we studied afterwards. And, coming out of that, we weren't 100% certain what we wanted to do with our lives. And when our kids came along, they started off in a traditional schooling environment. And when Jess was about 10 and Jake was about 7, we decided to do something a little bit different with them. We wanted to spend more time with them, and we thought, why don't we just take the next 10 years and focus on their education and travel and time together as a family? And that's what we did. But when we started off in that process, in our minds, we had a very institutionalized traditional learning and education mechanism, a framework that was imprinted on us. We only knew what we knew. And so what we did is we actually took our schooling system and we implemented it at home. We literally created school at home. And it was a complete disaster. And the reason for this is that what we found is both our children have got very different learning styles. So what we did is we found the right learning styles for each of the individual children. And once we'd done that, once we'd matched them up with experts and teachers in their field of interest and their passion, they suddenly accelerated their learning. And Jess actually finished her high school career 2 years before her contemporaries because of this acceleration in learning. And Jake will be exactly the same. And we actually shrunk the 8-hour school day into 2 to 3 hours, which allowed them a lot of time to do the other things that they wanted to do. Now, today, Jess is an artist, and we picked it up when she was 14. And this flexible learning process, this process of connecting her to the right expert, allowed us to go out and find somebody that is an expert in the art field that could actually tutor her and mentor her. And the result of that 5 years later is that you have a young lady that is very passionate about art. She's an accomplished artist. She's a commissioned artist, and she sells her art internationally, which is an incredible achievement. She's got her own business where she sells art internationally at 19 years old. Now that, in the ordinary sense, would not have been possible in a traditional learning environment. If we look at that same process, and that's the underlying process of Ford Protocol, is taking an expert and a learner and linking them with a framework, with smart contracts that incentivize that learning process, we can get a pretty similar outcome. And the outcome that many of you sitting here would get is that, imagine you're at a university and part of your degree is to take a marketing course. And that course will count for 10 credits towards your final result. You love fashion, you're a fashion person. I'm an industrial design person. Someone is a business person. There's an accounting person sitting in the class. And we all sit underneath an expert or a teacher in that class that actually teaches us in one style of learning. Imagine us being able to access that marketing content from our points of interest. So you'd learn from a fashion person, I'd learn from a business person, somebody else would learn from an accountant, another person learned from a marketing person. And at the end, we'd be judged and we'd write an exam which would be facilitated at an accredited facilitation center, which would give us the 10 credits that we needed for that marketing degree. But each of us have learned that information from our points of interest, from our passion. What would that have done to us as students? It would have actually added combustion and fire to that passion. It would have fueled that passion. It would have allowed us to learn faster. In fact, it would have allowed us to learn more material. Why? Because we're getting through the required material quicker. We are interested in what we're doing. And the chances of us completing and getting very, very high credits in that marketing course were actually very, very good. Why? Because we're learning from our passion. And that's what we want to do. That's what Ford Protocol does. It has the ability to link experts and learners with smart contracts, allowing the learners to learn via their passion and experts to teach what they're good at, to produce material that's invigorating and will actually create and stimulate that learning process for students. Ford Protocol has got the ability to change the learning landscape globally, to ignite the passion in hundreds of millions of people, and to bring out the best learning process, the best outcome for people across the board.